Okay, I haven't done this in a long time, but I am going to show y'all how I keep Hurley warm in the winter. All right, so he's under this very big covered patio, lot of space, keeps him out of the sun, out of the rain and stuff, so that's good. But on this concrete in the cold weather, this concrete's going to get cold, and that's a plastic dog house. Doesn't matter what kind it is. And that just needs to have some insulation under it. So I have a mat, a kind of a fuzzy mat I put into that. Let me go get it. So this is one of those heavy-duty indoor-outdoor mats. Heavy rubber on the bottom and nice and fuzzy on top. So this will help keep the bottom of the doghouse insulated from the cold concrete. So Hurley is a medium-sized dog at best. He weighs 15 to 16 pounds usually. And so it's important to get a dog house that's the right size. It's not too big or too small for your dog because, of course, it's his body heat that's going to provide the warmth, provide the heat for the dog house. So we don't want him to have too big of a space to heat up. So this is a plastic dog house and the top comes off. And I'm not going to take it off now because it's old, and I'm afraid if I do that, something on it will break, and then I won't be able to get it back together properly. So I'm not going to touch that. But what I did, let me see if I can't get a light in here. Okay, so what I did when I got this house was I bought some spray foam and, insulated it, spray insulation, insulated it all around except right at the seam where you can take it apart. Everything but the bottom. I had read you need to be careful because dogs, depending, especially if they're younger, may chew that up and eat it. Well, Hurley, I already knew he really didn't chew things up, so I wasn't that worried about it, and he doesn't. He has never done that. So I've insulated it real well on the inside. And so now I'm going to go ahead and put a couple of blankets in there for him. So I use 2 blankets during the winter time to help fill up the space in the house for one thing, and maybe provide some more warmth. But the more space is filled up, the easier it is for him to keep heated, keep warm. So I've used these blankets, and they're stiff. They're kind of stiff. They're not real flimsy. And I think he likes them because they'll keep their shape. He works real hard to get them in the position he likes, and then they stay there. In the past, I've also put 1 or 2 of these in there. They're very flimsy. They're a little bit fuzzier. I'm sure they don't keep their shape, but whenever I've put them in there, he just pulls them out. So I want to do what he likes. So let me get this in here. Okay, so that's the first one. I just fold it up real good and push it down from wall to wall on the bottom there. Let me get the second one in there. So here's the second one. I've kind of made it to where he can, get to the folds and move it how he wants to and make it a little bit looser in there. Let me set it down now. All right. Okay. Now I'm going to wrap the outside of the house with a blanket and stuff. I put that flimsy blanket around it first, and then I put this more stiff one. And what I did was I tucked them under the sides, and I tucked them under the back to help make sure, air doesn't get up there as easily. And I leave some draped down over the door to help, keep heat in there and to keep wind out. By the way, I put this little board across because that door's kind of low. So I put this board across there, but it also keeps his blankets from coming out as easily when he's messing with it. So I've got one more thing to put on there. This is an old synthetic sleeping bag that I used on my first backpacking trip with my nephews out to the Guadalupe National Park, and it is rated for 0 degrees. So I just throw that on for extra measure. And I make sure that, once again, it's drooped down in the front. When I tucked the blankets, this is not wide enough to tuck under, but when I tuck the blankets underneath the sides and the back, I just make sure that it's sturdy, you know, that it's straight and not wobbly, so it doesn't bother him. And also I want to point out that the door we put it over here because the door of the house is facing the east. That's the west, that's the north, and very few storms or, you know, not much wind comes from the east, which would go right into the doghouse. Of course, the wind whips around that other corner and it'll get in sometimes, but it won't be, you know, directly most of the time. So I think that helps a little bit as well. So that's basically it on how I keep Hurley warm out here as an outside dog during the winter. Another thing I like to do in the wintertime is make sure that he has plenty to eat before he goes to bed. You know, like before I go to bed, I'll make sure that he eats some food, because Hurley, he's not a fat dog by any means, hasn't been, always been energetic, and doesn't overeat. So I just put it out there whenever, you know, it's getting close to empty, his food bowl. I just put food out there, you know. So, and I try to make sure he's eating it and not birds or some animal coming out, you know, the property here. But so I make sure I watch him eat plenty. But in the wintertime especially, I'll give him some dog food, I'll give him some canned food, because he'll eat that down right away. He'll scarf that down. The dry food, he eats it. He likes it well enough, but he just kind of picks at it. So I make sure that I give him I'll heat it up just a little bit in the microwave, you know, just to warm it up a little bit, and have him eat a good bit before I go to bed, before he goes to bed. Because from what I understand is that, you know, when the dog has food in his belly, and when he goes in his dog house, his body is working to digest that, so that helps create some you know, body warmth, some temperature from some body heat, you know. So I try to make sure I do that on particularly cold nights. Good Sunday morning, everybody. Well, I hope everyone's had a great week. I wanted to do a video in case somebody is out there searching the internet looking for information on how to keep their dog warm, an outside dog warm in their house during this winter, that they might get a few tips. So I just wanted to do that. And another tip, which I know some of y'all will probably mention, you have in the past, is a lot of people put straw in a dog house, a bunch of straw to help keep. That's one of the best ways, they say, to keep a dog warm during the winter. Never used it for Hurley. I got Hurley when he was 7 years old. He seems just fine with the blankets. I didn't think or hear about the straw, you know, until many years later. He's 15 years old now. I don't want to throw a curveball at him at this point. He seems to be used to what we're doing, you know. So, but straw, that's another good tip if you're searching for one. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and Lord willing, I will see you next time.